Fortsätt med. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Preely user testing webinar. My name is Sebbe, and I am the co-founder at Preely. Please write in the chat if there's any audio problems, so I can try and fix it before we continue. If you have any questions about the platform or the methods or the products, please keep them to after the presentation, and then we'll go through them. You're welcome to write it in the chat, and then we can follow up afterwards. Before we start, I'd like to present the agenda. We're going to talk about how to build better products with high-speed testing. One way to make testing much faster than what they usually are is using unmoderated remote user testing. So we're going to talk about that method. Then we're going to build a small prototype that I prepared. We're going to set up some tasks, recruit testers, and then we're going to analyze the feedback from the testers. All right. So let's have a look at unmoderated remote user testing. There's quite a few benefits with this way of testing. It's a low entry level. You don't have to be good at interviewing your test participants because it's all in a written format. They're fast to execute because you don't have to schedule yourself and the test participants to meet up in both online or offline. Also, because of that, recruiting is also much easier. Unmoderated remote user testing can be used on its own, but it can also be used to add extra value to moderated user tests. Another added benefit of using these form of tests is that it can enable all of your team members to run user tests, as you don't have to be good at interviewing. You can just do them yourself. You just have to be able to write the right questions, and I'll teach you that too. All right, there's many forms of unmoderated remote user testing. Like, it can be simple surveys. Do you like that, or other more in-depth questions? It can be like screen recording, where it records everything that the user is doing. It can also be think aloud self-testing, where it's task-based again. They do it themselves. The problem with that can typically be that testers has to be like trained in saying the right things. When you sit together with a test participant in a think aloud test, you can motivate them to speak up what they're thinking. If they forget, you can't do that when it's unmoderated. At Preely, we use the interaction recording, which means we don't record videos, but we record like everywhere the user is clicking and what they're doing and all the timings of that. And that makes the whole analytics part much more interesting. All right. So now it's time to build a small prototype that I prepared. I'm going to use, of course, Preely to demonstrate how to do this. All right, so here I am on my tests list. I'll create a new one. It's going to be called webinar. Create that. I'm just going to upload some screens. I'm just going to do this real quick. I'm just going to drag and drop them. And as you saw, you are able to connect to Sketch with Preely to upload your designs and sync them. Well, all right, so this is a small dummy prototype. I'm just going to show you how fast and easy it is to build this prototype. I'll start by creating some links in my prototype. I know I have a contact form. Let me see this one. I'll add an option here for legal. Yeah, and we can select those, copy them to the other screens. Okay, I'm just gonna do it manually then into contact here as well. On this page, I'm not gonna do anything yet. All right. So here it links to this subpage that I have, and I have, like, bear in mind, I have an idea of what I want to test later, so I'll build like a bare bone prototype to support the task that I'm gonna create soon. Okay, now I've linked together stuff. One of our other cool features, in my own opinion, is the simulation of text input fields. So you get to simulate this instead of, you might know it from other tools where you have to, as soon as the user is clicking a text field, you'll just present some example text for them. You get to create multi-line text, as just did here, a password field as well, and checkboxes. You can modify the text color and the sizes. All right, I'll have this one more form here. I'm just gonna wire up really quick. This one is gonna be multi-line as well. All right, now I've built a prototype. I can just quickly preview it. I cannot preview it yet. I'll skip that. So what I'll do now is talk a bit about how we set up our prototype for testing. And part of that is asking all the right questions. There's, in unmoderated remote user testing, there is two types of questions. There's the open questions, like the explorative ones, where you direct the user with a task, and then when they've completed the task, you ask about if they had any problems or if there's something they felt they were missing, or otherwise ask into their experience. This will help you find problems in your idea, your prototype. It can also give you inspiration of how could it be solved otherwise. And this type of question is, of course, best used with free response, as the user has to write what they found. The other option is the closed or the validating questions. Really good for validating a specific problem. Let's say you had an open question testing round and you found some problems. You can then verify that you solved those problems that they found by asking these closed or validating questions, asking specifically if they experienced some of the same problems you found in the other test. And by that, address specific concerns. Another cool thing about the closed ones is that you get quantifiable responses. So you can get like ratings, NPS, like Net Promoter Score, and multiple choice. So you can do some calculations on it, and it can be easier to use those in your KPIs. All right, so now I'm gonna prepare the prototype for testing. So what I'm gonna do now, I've built the prototype and I've linked them together as I wanted them. So now I'm gonna create a task here. So I'm just gonna call this one task. You can give them any name you like. The tester will be able to see here. Okay. So let me just see here. So I've got quick text. This is sorry for the Danish texts here. I'll be continuing in English. So the introduction is like putting the tester in the right state, like what has just happened, and so they like get in the right state of mind. So here in my prototype, if you noticed, the website was called Getting Things Done. So I'm telling the user that they're just visiting the website looking for information. Now I need to give them a task. What do they need to do? So I'm asking the tester, telling them that they want to ask a question about how this company handled cases. So here it's very important not to tell the tester what to do, but tell them what goal they have and what problem they should try and solve. Next, I'll link it in my prototype. So I'll say here, I'll start on the first screen. I could have multiple tasks and they could start in different screens and have different flows. Here is the answer type. As I said, open question would be a free response field. There's multiple choices here and add as many options as I want. The NPS scoring, Net Promoter Score, really cool for getting an idea of whether or not a test person likes the concept you're presenting to them. And rating can be used to, yeah, of course, rate how easy or hard things were. Okay, so let me fill in the question here. I'll just ask them during the process, was there anything you're wondering or found difficult, motivating them to write something? And I'll click free response. And you can see a small preview here of how that will look in the test. All right, so now we're ready to trigger the task completion. So when does this end? And I have here on my last page, it proposes that I want to add a hotspot so that when the tester is clicking the hotspot, that's when the test completes. I want to add this task hotspot to my other contact form as well. So you can add as many as these as you want in different areas. You also get the chance to use timers. So after 1 second, you could trigger feedback here. There's a small tour. We've got a really good tour on the platform to help you get started. All right, I'll just disable this, but this is really cool for success pages and flows where it says, okay, now everything is cool. We'll contact you or something like that. And then after 1 second, you can trigger feedback. Disabling that. All right. Okay, so now I've set up my task and I have my prototype, so now I can preview this. So this is exactly what the tester will be experiencing when they take the test. They get to see the introduction. Yeah, I'm sorry, the labels are in Danish because my browser is set to Danish, but on English computers, they will be English as well. Here I confirm that I understand the task that I have to do. All right, so we open it up. Get a small help of how to do that. And I get to see my prototype. And I can navigate around here and find my way. So this is the path I'm taking now is the optimal path. Feel free to write me with any questions on that email. There. Okay, and clicking the send message will then trigger feedback. In English, it says you've completed the task. Now it's time to get feedback. I click OK. I get my question, and I get to elaborate on it. I found very easy. And that's it. So this was the preview, so nothing is recorded. All right. So that's now I got a test that is ready for sharing. There's 2 ways you can share and recruit your testers. One is recruiting using a test. Here you can share the test link on social media and newsletters or wherever you have contact points with your end users. The cool thing about recruiting using a test is that by completing the test, both the tester will know, okay, what does it mean to be part of a test panel, and also they'll be put into your test panel so you can use them later for getting more feedback for other prototypes. The other way is to recruit directly for a test panel and start building a test panel on the platform. This is really good if you want to gather testers up front and you don't have anything specific to test. For example, preparing for design sprint. Should you like to find users that are not part of your own user base, you can buy them through Preely as well. All right. Before we can have something to analyze, I'll just ask my team to test my prototype. So you get this share URL. I'll just put it in here. I think I'll complete the test myself so you get an idea of what is going on. All right. Just a second. start the test here. I'll just write my email so that you get the chance to, as a tester, to have a profile with us. Do this. Yeah. Just set some dummy data to speed things up here. Collection of metadata can be turned off per test. So if it's not important for you, that's possible. Here I get my question again. Now I'm completely biased because I know what the goal of it is. But let's say I want to, oh, what is this? I'm clicking, nothing is happening. We have chosen not to show any click cursors in the prototypes because where people are clicking where you are not expecting is just as valuable. So to stop them from searching everything. All right. I'll just complete my task. This was my test. All right. And I get to set a password. I'll just skip that. All right. Let's see if there's any responses. Oh, that was 2 now. So cool. Okay, so here I am at the analytics overview. I can see that we got 2 testers so far. Even instead, I was a woman, so I was tricking. Get to see, like, this is a customizable intro to your test. And here I have my first task. I can see that users on average spend 26 seconds to complete this. So this can be used as a KPI to measure like how easy or quickly was the flow. One cool way of designing flows in software is to measure time, because you don't want to spend or have users spend time in your app, basically. You want them to complete what they want as fast as possible, unless you're designing a game. All right, one more. Cool. So I get to see all the answers here. And I can see like the path they're going through, where they're clicking, etc. So this was me. I clicked here first, then I went to the last one, and then finally in the middle. I get to see all of them, and I can see how much time did they spend, what kind of data did they input in the input fields as well. Really cool for testing sign-up forms and things like that. Okay, so this is per tester, but we can also see all the screens across testers. So here you can see a heat map of where people are clicking. Someone really wanted to read more down here. Oh, another response. Popular today. And you get some screen statistics on the screen, like how much time did the user spend on this on the screen, and how long time did it take for the first action. This tells you like how cognitive heavy the screen was. Like, was there a lot of reading involved to understand what was going on with the screen? Were they trying the stuff before they were able to navigate away? This could indicate that you had a problem with where you are communicating actions. This is also summed up in our hotspot hit ratio, where you can see how accurate testers are on clicking your hotspots. It's very important to know that you should try and only put hotspot where it makes sense to complete the task, because then this hit ratio will be super valuable in figuring out what pages have problems in my design, where should I improve my design and communication to get the user to click where they need to in order to complete a certain task. If there's multiple routes around in your prototype, you get to see how people navigate from this screen into the next one. All right, heat map is one thing. Then we got the actions here. So this is where you could do like a first click test, for example. So the first time the user is on the screen, I want to see where did they click the first time. So on this button, that was me. And also down here. We got this scroll heat map as well on the left side. where you can see how far do people scroll on the pages. Okay, and then it indicates whether or not you're if there's any motivation to scroll certain pages. Super helpful as well. And here I can see the final page where they click. All right. So in this case, I was asking. Go back here. I want to have them ask a question about how this company handled cases, and in that. So in this prototype, there was 2 ways of doing that. I was able to go through legal and then click down here and go into this contact case. That's one way of solving it. The other way was to click the contact form directly. So this showed me, would people just use the general contact form page, or would they use like a specific contact form? So this test case is like what's it called? Information architecture, like where should I put my content? Like I had one opinion of where I wanted it, or maybe I thought there was a need of like a special form for information about case handling. But it turns out that my user, maybe not the biggest surprise, don't really care. They just want to write something to the company about whatever problem they have. Yes. So this was the analytics that we collect. And as you can see, it's not videos, but we still collect the same timeline that can be used to like, see how much time is spent on different screens, sub 1 second on this screen. So it's really fast. All right. Okay, so tips and tricks for doing these unmoderated user tests. Really keep your tests small. Test small and test often. It will really help you in like getting experience in testing. So instead of spending 12 hours on a major test, spend 30 minutes on small tests here and there, and you will get a lot of experience, and you can learn from one test to the next what works and what does not work in this remote testing environment. Also, prototypes should be simple. Like they don't have to be complex to be used for testing. Some people I have done that myself, tend to build prototypes that can do everything. But it's really not needed for if you have your assumptions right. So you could have a hypothesis where, in my case, like where should I believe that I should have this super specific contact form. I'll put that there, and then I'll test that. And the analytics can then be analyzed and supporting my hypothesis or break my hypothesis, and I should do something else. So I can like test often instead of saving up for these super large tests. In many like companies that we have on our platform, like they also use Preely in a way that it's in the tail of a moderated test. So they have like every 3rd week, they have a moderated user test where they like really talk to their customers. And then they find a lot of problems, and then they use Preely in the tail of that to support the design choices to solve those problems they had discovered in the moderated user tests. And in that way, you can like really speed up the process instead of waiting for the next user test to clean up if there was like, have we solved all the tasks, especially if they then find other problems, then they have to like keep this cycle going. So it's really speeding up with these micro tests. Okay, that was all I had about how to run fast user tests on the Preely platform. So if there's any questions, feel free to ask them. I'll do my best to answer them. All right, I can add that we in the month of May we're having a spring giveaway where we give you 5 testers from our paid user testing panel. So if you have a prototype on our platform, you can for free get responses from 5 testers that we will recruit for you. So definitely check it out. There's a free plan on the platform where you can set up this test and make use of the 5 free testers. Also welcome to bring your own testers for free. All right. I think that was it for today. There was no questions. But please check out the platform, and also if you have any questions regarding remote user testing, please write our support or write me at sebbe.prilly.com. So I'll write my email here. Feel free to write me any questions about the product or methods in general, and we can have a chat. Thank you all for coming. Bye.